Hello, my name is Manaya, and I'm going to be talking about the fight against lithium mining in the Atacama Desert. There's four main sections we're going to be talking about. Number one is going to be the map and kind of describing where this is located. The second main topic is going to be the timeline and a list of all of the main events that have been going on in this area. The third main topic is going to be a map that kind of describes how all the companies and all of the indigenous communities kind of tie into each other and who is being affected by what. And the final section is going to be an example of an art piece from this region. Now here you can see this is a map of where the Atacama Desert is located. It's in the south of Chile, and it's kind of in this triangle right here. Now we're going to talk about some of the important aspects of the map. The Atacama Desert is one of the driest regions on Earth. It's spanning the majority of southern Chile. It contains a vast lithium-rich environment inside of the salt flats, and that is where the mining is. Now we're going to talk about the timeline and explain when most of these events are happening. So for more than 10,000 years, indigenous communities, mainly including the Atacamano people, have inhabited the Atacama Desert, relying on its scarce water sources and fragile ecosystems for sustenance and cultural traditions. Now, fast forwarding about 10,000 years, we're in 1960. The Atacama Desert was recognized as a unique ecosystem by scientists, and they highlighted the extreme biodiversity and the delicate balance of the Atacama salt flats, emphasizing the need for conservation. Now, 11 years later, in 1971, the Chilean Mining Code, CMC, was established. This law formalizes mining regulations, granting increased access to foreign corporations and leaving lithium-rich salt flats vulnerable to extraction. Now, 9 years later, we are at the epicenter of the lithium mining expansion. Global demand for lithium has risen, leading to increased extraction in the Salar de Atacama, depleting water reserves and threatening local communities and wildlife, as well as extracting huge amounts of lithium, which was supposed to be protected. Now we fast forward 8 more years, and the indigenous resistance is at an all-time high. The Atacamano leaders and environmental activists have organized multiple protests against lithium mining. Now a couple more years in the future, we're in 1995. The Chilean authorities have granted new lithium extraction permits in the Salar de Atacama, sparking concerns among indigenous Atacamano people and communities over water depletion and environmental degradation. 2017, the Chilean government expands lithium mining operations, signing agreements with multinational corporations despite protests from local communities and environmental organizations. Concerns grow over excessive water use and the impact on fragile desert ecosystems. Now fast forward a couple years, we're in 2019. A government-backed report highlights lithium as a strategic resource essential for the global battery market, downplaying environmental and indigenous concerns. This leads to further tensions between policymakers and activists fighting to protect the Atacama's water biodiversity. Now we are in 2021, January of 2021. The Chilean government grants new lithium extraction licenses, but local indigenous groups and environmentalists challenge the decision, citing the water scarcity and ecosystem destruction. Despite opposition, major corporations expand operations in the Salar de Atacama illegally. Now we're in June of 2021. After the widespread protests, the Chilean Supreme Court orders a review of lithium mining contracts, assessing their environmental and legal impacts. Activists demand stronger protections for indigenous land and water rights. Now we are in September of 2023. Following legal battles and mounting pressure, the Chilean government cancels several lithium extraction contracts, citing procedural flaws and environmental concerns. This marks a major victory for the Atacamano people and communities and environmental groups fighting against this resource exploitation. Now we are up to our most current stage of January 20th, 2025. The Chilean government approves new lithium mining contracts, citing the need for economic growth and global demand for electric vehicle batteries. Environmental reviews are expedited, allowing corporations to expand operations in the Atacama Desert, despite ongoing concerns from indigenous groups. The Atacama communities and environmental organizations filed multiple lawsuits to halt new lithium mining projects, arguing that the water depletion and ecosystem destruction violate multiple environmental regulations. Court hearings began March through April 2025, with uncertainty over whether mining operations will be paused or allowed to continue. Now we're going to briefly discuss the power map and what powers are being affected by what. So at the core of this is the lithium mining in the Atacama Desert. The people pushing for this are the mining corporations, foreign investors, and other governments looking to promote the lithium battery market. All of these people are pushing a pro-mining agenda, which is going directly against indigenous communities and indigenous communities' allies. Now, these two opposing forces create indigenous lawsuits, which go towards legal battles, which also puts on a lot of public pressure to this entire thing. Now, the other thing that is super unfortunate is the Chilean government and the economic policymakers are also pushing towards this pro-mining agenda, which creates this entire economic and environmental debate, which again ties straight back to the lithium mining in the Atacama Desert. Now we're going to talk about the art piece that I picked for this presentation. Etched into the ancient soil of the Atacama Desert is this striking geoglyph discovered by Chilean archaeologist Luis Bryans. It stands as a silent testimony to a civilization whose names and stories have been lost to time. We don't know who carved these figures into the earth. There are no signatures, no preserved records, and no individual credit. And yet, the meaning still pulses through the geometric lines. The human figures speak volumes about the people deeply connected to the land. This artwork, like so many others across the Atacama, reflects a culture that lived in balance with the desert's extremes. For ages, indigenous communities like the Atacama developed knowledge systems rooted in survival, respect for the land, and spiritual continuity. Today, that connection is being fractured. The accelerating spread of lithium mining in the region's salt flats is draining groundwater, polluting ecosystems, and threatening to erase not just habitats, but heritage. This geoglyph, carved with intention centuries ago, now faces the risks of becoming just another scar on the desert, being stripped of both its resources and its memory. The absence of names isn't a void, it's a warning. This art, anonymous but enduring, asks us to reconsider what is being lost in the name of green energy and global demand. Thank you.